On September 8, 2022, after the death of Queen Elizabeth II, a private estate worth billions quietly changed hands. But within weeks, reports claimed a fierce dispute had begun inside the palace walls. Family members, legal advisors, and royal aides were suddenly pulled into closed-door meetings. The public saw smiles. Behind them, rules and money were colliding. What really sparked this royal feud, and who stands to lose the most? After the Queen's death, quiet legal questions began to grow. The grief was real. But the rules of the monarchy moved just as fast. On September 8, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II died at Balmoral Castle. Crowds placed flowers. Bells rang across London. Yet, at the same time, a major legal shift happened behind palace doors. Under UK constitutional practice, the crown passes the second the monarch dies. That is why King Charles III became king on the same day, without delay. Think about this. When the title changes, control of certain estates and duties also changes instantly. Some royal properties are private family assets. Others are tied to the crown and managed under strict national rules. These two groups do not follow the same system, even though the public often thinks they do. Within days, reported legal reviews were said to begin. Advisors needed to check documents, trusts, and ownership lines that had been set over many years. If the law was already clear, why would advisors still need urgent meetings? Because not all royal property follows the same rulebook. Not all royal property follows the same rulebook. That is where the tension may begin. The difference sounds small, but it can change everything. Many people believe the monarch owns all royal land. That is not correct. The Crown Estate is managed for the nation, not for the king as a private person. Its modern system comes from the Crown Estate Act 1961, which set clear rules about income and public benefit. So even if a monarch changes, that estate does not become private family wealth. Now here is the part most people miss. Other properties are different. The Duchy of Lancaster provides income to the reigning monarch. The Duchy of Cornwall supports the heir to the throne. When King Charles III became king in 2022, control of the Duchy of Cornwall passed to Prince William. That shift was automatic under long-standing royal rules. Reported figures often say these duchies bring in tens of millions of pounds each year, though exact numbers can change and are reviewed annually. Income means staff, travel, and charity projects. Small legal changes can shape very big decisions later. But here is the question inside the palace walls. If income streams moved overnight, who needed to adjust first? Advisors, trustees, and estate boards would all need to review contracts, leases, and future plans. And one estate, in particular, became the center of whispers. One estate became the center of whispers. But there was a bigger mystery hiding in plain sight. The will itself was sealed. Here is a rule many people do not know. Royal wills in the United Kingdom are often kept private for decades. In some past cases, they have been sealed for more than 90 years. This process involves the High Court in London, which reviews the document and decides if it should remain secret to protect dignity and stability. Here's the part most people miss. Because the will is sealed, even experts outside the court cannot confirm how private property was divided. That silence can make small rumors grow fast. After September 2022, some media outlets reported questions about transparency. Critics claimed that modern times demand more openness, while supporters argued that privacy helps avoid public conflict. The name of Queen Elizabeth II stayed central in every discussion, because her personal estate planning shaped what came next. Yet no official list of detailed allocations was released to the public. That gap left space for speculation, even without confirmed proof. So if the document exists but remains hidden, how can anyone outside a tiny legal circle know what was promised or planned? The silence itself became part of the storm. The silence itself became part of the storm. When facts are limited, headlines grow louder. The media stepped in, and the pressure rose. In late 2022, British tabloids sharply increased coverage of the royal estate story. Words like rift and clash appeared again and again. None of these claims were officially confirmed by the palace. Still, constant repetition can shape public belief. The palace press office, guided by long-standing communication rules, kept statements short and calm to avoid fueling speculation. Think about this. Polls reported in the months after September 2022 showed mixed trust levels in the monarchy among younger audiences. Public image is not just about ceremonies. It also depends on how clearly rules and money are explained. If people feel confused, they may suspect hidden conflict even when none is proven. Here's the part most people miss. Royal communication strategy is built on restraint. The goal is stability, not quick emotional replies. But silence can sometimes create a vacuum, and media stories rush to fill that empty space. Inside the palace, reported strategy meetings were said to align one clear message: unity and continuity under King Charles III. Yet the louder the media storm grew, the harder that message became to protect. But what if the real conflict was never about headlines at all? What if it was about long-term control inside the institution? Because power inside a palace is not only about land or cash. Power inside a palace is not only about land or cash. It is also about titles, roles, and long-term influence. These pieces connect like gears in a clock. When King Charles III became king in September 2022, he gave the title Prince of Wales to Prince William. This was not just a ceremony with flags and speeches. The title carries real responsibility and real income. The Prince of Wales traditionally controls the Duchy of Cornwall, a large estate that reportedly earns tens of millions of pounds each year. That money supports official work, staff salaries, and charity programs across the United Kingdom. Now watch what happens next. When income flows change, influence can change too. More income can mean more projects. More projects can mean a stronger public presence. Over time, that presence can shape how people see the future of the monarchy itself. Here's the part most people miss. The British monarch must stay politically neutral under constitutional rules. This means the king cannot openly support political parties or policies. But private estate income still allows royal family members to choose which charities to fund, which causes to highlight, and which regions to visit more often. These choices are not political orders, yet they still shape public attention. Reports after 2022 claimed that advisors were quietly studying how these new financial lines would affect balance inside the royal family. Nothing official confirmed a dispute. Still, even small differences in budget control can create quiet tension in any large institution. If one branch leads more major projects, others may need to adjust their roles and expectations over time. Think about this. Influence is not only about today's money. It is about tomorrow's legacy. A duchy income stream can last for decades, funding schools, conservation land, and community programs. That means the person who manages that estate also shapes long-term public trust. Supporters say this system ensures stability during royal transitions. Critics argue it can create unequal influence within the family structure. So the question grows sharper. Was the tension, if any existed, really about who owned land, or about who would guide the monarchy's direction for the next generation? That is a much bigger issue than a single property or a single account. Because the next move would decide more than headlines. The next move would decide more than headlines. So attention turned to what might be happening in private rooms, far from cameras and crowds. Royal estates are not run by one person alone. They involve legal advisors, trustees, and management boards that follow strict duties. These teams review contracts, land leases, and long-term investments that can stretch over many decades. After September 2022, reports claimed that several internal meetings took place to review how control structures would work under King Charles III. None of these meetings were publicly confirmed, but such reviews are normal after a major succession. Here's the part most people miss. Estate boards must protect value not just for today, but for future generations. That means every decision, sell, hold, invest, or conserve land, can affect millions of pounds over time. Even small changes in strategy can create disagreement among advisors, because each choice carries risk. Some unnamed sources in media reports alleged that differences of opinion appeared about long-term planning. Still, no official statement confirmed any feud. Think about this. Large estates often include farms, rental properties, and historic buildings across England and Wales. Each asset has its own legal rules and contracts. If leadership shifts suddenly, those agreements may need review to stay aligned with law and tradition. That process can take months, sometimes years, and it usually happens quietly. Now watch what happens next. When questions about authority appear, one key issue always rises. Who has the final say when trustees disagree? Under constitutional practice, ultimate direction sits with the monarch, but always within legal limits set by established royal frameworks and UK law. So if private advisors debated options behind closed doors, did those talks signal conflict, or simply careful governance during a historic transition? The answer lies in the rules written long before any feud began. The answer lies in the rules written long before any feud began. Royal rules guide every major decision. Estates, titles, and roles all follow the law. Stability is built into the system. The United Kingdom operates under a constitutional monarchy. This means the king or queen can make decisions about private property, but political power is limited by law. Estates like the Crown Estate, Duchy of Lancaster, and Duchy of Cornwall are structured to last generations. Even if tension or disagreements appear, the legal system ensures continuity. Trustees follow strict rules to protect assets over decades. Think about this. Public opinion is always part of the picture. Approval ratings for the monarchy fluctuate, reported by surveys over the years, but overall trust remains high. The palace must balance private estate management with public perception. That is why communication strategies focus on unity and calm, even when legal reviews and internal meetings are ongoing. Here's the part most people miss. Estate transitions are not just about money. They shape who leads projects, which charities receive funding, and how future generations of royals are prepared. The combination of law, tradition, and public expectation creates a system that survives beyond individual personalities. If there was tension after September 2022, it likely followed legal channels quietly. Not public fights. Not scandals. Paperwork, meetings, and careful advice ensured the monarchy continued without visible disruption. So did a royal feud truly explode, or did the old rules simply collide with modern expectations? Only time and transparency will tell. The real battle may not be inside the palace, but in public perception. Since September 2022, the British monarchy has faced both grief and scrutiny. Queen Elizabeth II's passing triggered automatic legal transitions. King Charles III became king, estates shifted, and titles were reassigned. Some assets belong to the Crown Estate and serve the nation, while others like the Duchy of Lancaster and Duchy of Cornwall provide private income to the royal family. Trustees and legal advisors manage these estates carefully to maintain continuity. Media coverage fueled speculation, but much remains unconfirmed. Royal wills are sealed for decades, which adds mystery. Public trust is influenced not only by money or property but also by perception and communication strategy. Behind closed doors, careful legal reviews maintain stability. The monarchy system ensures that transitions, whether of power, money, or influence, proceed with minimal disruption. Even if whispers of disputes exist, the long-term rules are clear. The crown, estates, and influence operate under law and tradition, designed to survive generations. The real story is not conflict alone. It is how tradition, law, and public expectation intersect to shape the monarchy's future. Should royal estates be fully public or stay private? Do you think royal wills should remain sealed for decades? Does media coverage help transparency or create unnecessary drama? Subscribe to Uncover Royal Stories Explained Simply, with facts you can trust.